I'm hoping that y'all read the title, and I'm going to be flat out honest with y'all. I didn't want this computer. I didn't want to buy it. I didn't want anything to do with an old Core 2 Duo, but yet here it is. It's right in front of me, and it's about to get macOS Mojave. I must be demented or something. Well, that's not the only thing I want to talk about in this video, so without further ado, let's get right into it so I don't take up all your time. I guess we'll watch my Mountain Dew progressively get smaller as I go through this. Like the notification sounds, they would constantly lag. Jesus Christ, we're back at it again, aren't we? It didn't exactly cut the bills, or cut the cheese. I don't fucking know. G'day folks, Jordan here with an actual video for once. Well, I don't know if you call it actual video, it's more like me rambling in front of the camera sort of thing that I'm going to be doing in this video, which I apologize if you don't like those kinds of videos in general. There's always more content to watch, so you don't have to watch this one, you can just turn on something else. But yeah, where have I been for the past 4 weeks since I made the, I guess the last video, right, just right here, because it's not going to be the Discord, opening the links again thing. That's not really technically a video, that's just more of a status update. This is actually something that I've been wanting to do for the past 4 weeks, to kind of like break the silence of uploads. So I guess before we get into it and ultimately work with the subject of this video, well, I need to go get something to drink. That's hilarious. They didn't even bother to go fix their car, they just put duct tape on the bumper. Can't get more country town than that. Or I guess if you technically want to prefer to call it this way, you can't get more redneck than that. Alright, I'm back home with the Dew in hand here. I've kind of made a makeshift stand because, again, I don't have a phone tripod, so you're just going to have to bear with me on this, but anyway. So, I'm going to go ahead and get this started with booting up here, and then we'll get on with the rest of the video and kind of get to me blabbing and all that fun stuff, of course. So, in the beginning of the video when I was talking about how I didn't want anything to do with this computer, well, of course I didn't. I'm done with Core 2 Duo Max at this point. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you all. However, there's more to that explanation than what I'm making it out to be right now, so I better get to explaining it, shall I? So, recently, I got rid of my Dell Latitude E5470, and I know, I shouldn't have sold that computer because ultimately it would have been more powerful than this thing. However, I had my reasons as to why I wanted to get rid of it. The first major reason of which was because of the keyboard. Now, of course, I would complain about the sound. I'm going to do that here in a second, but mainly the keyboard was my biggest problem with that computer. I am a student, and I'm constantly writing reports, and I cannot deal with a keyboard in a laptop that frequently misses my keystrokes. That just drove me absolutely crazy. Not to mention typical Dells from the modern era, and I don't know why this is, but Dells from the modern era, they seem to have a thing where their sound is just awful. I guess we'll watch my Mountain Dew progressively get smaller as I go through this. But the sound on the E5470 that I had was awful. Like the notification sounds, they would constantly lag. Jesus Christ, we're back at it again, aren't we? The notification sounds would constantly lag. They would constantly be delayed. And on top of that, for example, with a UAC prompt in Windows 10, I would have the stupidest of volume problems. The biggest one being the volume. Like, it would first peak way louder than the actual set volume, and then it would stop for a split second, and then it would continue with the sound with the equalization set at the actual volume set. It was just, it drove me absolutely crazy. And I'm trying not to swear in this video because I was rehearsing last night to do this video, and believe me, my mouth was a lot more potty mouth than this, so I'm trying to keep it at least somewhat family friendly. So my apologies if I don't really show my true emotion in this, but regardless, it doesn't really matter too much. So I'm going to go ahead and get this installing here. So, uno momento, por favor. And there we go. So, I got rid of it. There's a lot of other undisclosed reasons why, particularly because of the fact that I'm not going to complain about the generosity of the viewer that gave me the license to the Movavi video editor that I was using on Windows. Still a very generous donation. I really appreciate that a lot. But unfortunately, the problem was the audio when it came to making videos was just terrible. It would constantly, it would sound distorted. It would have, once again, volume issues. I was just watching one of my previous videos that was made with Movavi, and I had to turn it off because I couldn't stand the audio after a while. It just got to me. So, yeah, there was a few different things. It kind of built up over time, and ultimately I was just like, screw it, I'm selling this machine. So I put it on Facebook Marketplace, I sold it for a fair market value, got my money with it, and then the money that was supposed to be going towards a new MacBook Pro, well, it ultimately did, as you can see, but it wasn't exactly that great of a journey. See, the problem is that Mac pricing on eBay right now, and this is August, by the time that I'm recording this, August 12th to be precise, and it's back to school time, if it hasn't already begun for the people who might be watching this or whatever have you. But back to school time is in full swing right now, and MacBook pricing is awful. You know what? I'm just going to go uncensored right now. It's fucking awful. I cannot believe, and I cannot fathom, the kind of pricing that is on MacBook Pros right now, especially Core 2 Duos. It's ridiculous. Now I'm going to put a bit of an example onto the video here, not like in a picture-in-picture thing, I'm just going to like verbally explain it. But when I was browsing for MacBook Pros, particularly a 15-inch, within my budget range of I was at this time about $200 because I'm a broke college student, so I don't really have that much money. You know, all I saw was nothing but Core 2 Duo, 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 Core 2 Duo. There was no thing as a Core i5 or an i7. Actually, I take that size back. Both 13-inch and 15-inch. You could not, at the time that I was searching, find anything Core i5 or i7 for under $200 at the time that I was searching. It was absolutely ridiculous. Poor timing? Yes, probably. But you still can't deny the fact that some people have grossly overpriced the fuck out of these computers. For what? The Apple logo, Mac OS, your preloaded fucking Microsoft Office, and Adobe Creative Suite 6. That was a very creative suite, now wasn't it, you fucking diesel truck? But again, in all seriousness though, those things, they mean nothing to the actual value of the computer. I don't give a shit about Microsoft Office. I don't give a shit about Adobe Creative Suite 6. I'm never going to use those things. I mean, I'm going to use probably Microsoft Office, maybe, but my school provides that license. And on top of that, I already have my own license that I could use if I so wanted to. So, I don't really care about all these value-added things. I just want the damn laptop for a reasonable market value. And I don't find $200 for a Core 2 Duo in 2019, or almost 2020 at this point, to be a reasonable value proposition. In fact, it's more or less a ripoff than anything. And it just amazes me that I could go onto eBay right now, I'm almost guaranteeing you this, and I could search for a MacBook Pro 15-inch within my budget range, and I'd see machines like this. A non-unibody. Okay, I'll show one example, or I'll talk about one example, because I can't show it. It's probably been sold by this point. It was a non-unibody MacBook Pro, probably, I don't know if it was in early 2008, I think it was. Somebody had put a solid-state drive in this thing. 4 gigabytes of RAM. And yet they had the audacity, not the program, to charge $150 for a machine that is 11 years old. Going on 12 years old. Do you think anybody's going to pay that kind of money for that sort of stuff? No. It's stupid. It's fucked. It's absolutely fucked. And I'm not going to be the only one who talks about it this way. I'm frustrated to say that, because it's true. It's fucked. The Mac market is fucked. It's not, the fact that these stupid Mac resellers are grossly overpricing these things. It's just people in general. Anyway. So, I got frustrated. And I knew that one of my students was going to be selling her MacBook Pro. It was a 2012 base model 13-inch. And yet, when I asked her how much she wanted for it, and I was going to give her like a reasonable amount for, resale value, cash in hand, and she's all like, "No, I'm gonna post it online first." So, respecting her decision, I couldn't buy it, even though I think $250 for a MacBook Pro 13-inch 2012 base model, 4 gigabytes of RAM. Keep that in mind, was a reasonable price, and I'm saying reasonable loosely because I'm not in any fucking way inclined to pay that much for that kind of a computer. I need more than 4 gigabytes of RAM. It's my base minimum. And we all know how macOS tends to eat through RAM like it's nobody's business. The more you give it, the better. But, anyway. So, I'm feeling discouraged. I was feeling very discouraged. And, on top of that, my budget was not exactly that great. So I was just like, okay, fine. I at least need something to go to school with. Let's just fuck the Mac idea. I'm going to go get something for school. So, here's what I did. I went down to Best Buy. I was foregoing all kind of Mac ideas because at this time I needed a computer for school. I was using at that time a ThinkPad T400. And it did the business, but, again, 4 gigs of RAM. It didn't exactly cut the bills, or cut the cheese. I don't fucking know. You all get what I'm trying to say. It doesn't really matter how I say it. Just take it for what I am trying to mean, not for how I say it. Anyway, so the first thing I did was I went to their open box sale. And when I was there, I tried looking at what was within my price range. Now, I found something, because at this time I hadn't spent any of my money. I went and I bought a Dell Inspiron 15 3567. Now, I had previously owned something like this. I had owned a i3 model. It was an i3 7100U with 4 gigs of RAM and a 500 gig hard drive. The one that I had gotten had an i5 7200U with 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig SSD, a touchscreen, and no DVD drive. But, hey, it was within my budget. It seemed to work. It was going to do what I needed it to do because at the time, I needed a computer, and I technically still do, that needs to be able to run... I'm sorry, my watch is going off so many damn times. But anyway, so I needed something that I could run my lockdown browser with. That's just plain and simple. That's what I needed. Something with either Windows or Mac OS on it. I didn't really care. And at this point, I was actually going to consider a Core 2 Duo again, even though I already had a Core 2 Duo, at least on the Macintosh side of things. So, yeah. Bought the Dell, took it home, set it up, took it to school the next day, and I was, done with it. And the biggest thing was the sound. Again, Dells, modern Dells, the same exact shit with their crappy integrated audio drivers, these Waves Max audio shit. It's garbage. It is literal fucking trash. Their drivers are the worst in the business. I don't know how the fuck Dell manages to fuck that up. Here, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a machine that I want to prove for this. Okay, so this right here is a Dell Latitude E4310. I actually just got this off of eBay just like I did with this early 2008 MacBook Pro, but more on that thing later. So this thing here, I would be glad to tell you, does not suffer from the stupid Dell audio crap that they put in their machines nowadays. Now, in all fairness, this machine is rather obsolete. This thing has well, you can't really see it all that well. Well, maybe you can if I let the autofocus do its job there, but this is a first-gen i5. However, again, doesn't really matter. This machine doesn't suffer from that stupid audio shit that the modern Dells do. And so, honestly, it doesn't bug me that much that I'm using a first-gen i5. And, to be honest, it's doing pretty well for its age. It's about 9 years old, so, okay, fine. I'll roll with it as my student machine. So that's ultimately going to be my student machine. This isn't. It has its reasons. So anyway, back to my story. So I had those stupid Dell audio quirks. I was just like, okay, never mind. I'll deal with it. I'll live with it. But then another thing came up. And this is a first of a couple of these stupid things with PCs that I just cannot fucking stand. So, the laptop, I set it up, it was running Windows 10 1803. And, okay, fine, I'll just update it to 1903. I'll let it do it through Windows Update because it automatically had pushed it to my computer. Okay, downloads it, goes to start installing it. I get the dialog box that means that there's something wrong with the installation. I was just like, okay, so what's going on? So it pops up with a Intel Rapid Storage Technology driver that needed to be updated before the setup could proceed. This is a known issue in Windows 10. I think would brick some installs or something like that. I don't know, cause some instability, whatever have you. Anyway, went to Intel's website. I downloaded the latest Intel Rapid Storage Technology driver because that machine supported it, and it indeed was out of date. I checked the version numbers. So I updated it to the latest version from Intel, and I rebooted the computer, and I restarted the setup process back to where the error had left off. Nothing changed. Nothing had changed. I refreshed it as many times as my frustrating little hand could click the refresh button, and nothing changed. Pissed me off. Because, not that it couldn't use 1803, but there was this stupid little contradictory message in Windows Update saying, oh yeah, your Windows 10 1803 is going to be out of date. So we're going to go ahead and update you soon if you don't do it yourself. So please, update your computer. But then right above it, guess what? Oh look, fix your Windows 10 1903 update that you can't fucking fix. So the whole fucking page was contradictory. It was contradicting itself with this is going to be out of date soon, but you can't update because there's a fucking issue with the update. It's not your fault. It's on the fault of the Windows update. How the fuck do you manage to, And the irony was, I looked this up, it was a recent occurrence at the time that I bought that computer. Literally, people have been running into this issue less than a week ago to the point that where I was buying that computer. Of course, it's not an issue nowadays. I think I probably fixed that, but it doesn't matter. The context of the situation is I couldn't update the computer to the latest version. So, what was I to do? I mean, I could technically still use that computer as it was. It wasn't prohibiting me from using it. But that, alongside the stupid Dell Audio quirk, and there were some other things too, like the lack of a DVD drive, although that wasn't exactly something I needed or, exactly wanted either. It was just a kind of a value add. So I was just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm taking the computer back to the store. So I took it back to Best Buy the same day that I took it into school, less than 24 hours after I had owned the computer. So, with that having been said, I had been shopping on there previously. I found an open box deal on a Lenovo IdeaPad. I don't remember the model number off the top of my head. I think I probably had it screenshotted in the Discord somewhere. People could probably find that for me if I really wanted to, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, I bought this computer. Open box again, although that really doesn't make that much of a difference because it was like a brand new computer basically. It was like $170 something after sales tax. We have really awful sales tax in our area. So, whatever. Okay, I saved a little bit of money and I got a different computer. I got a different brand. I figured that would be the end of it. Oh ho ho, was I in for another surprise? We'll get onto that here in a minute. More Mountain Dew. So, the Lenovo IdeaPad. I take it home, I unbox it because it had the original box. It was like wrapped in Geek Squad tape or whatever. I don't really care. So I unboxed it, I set it up, started getting into the setup, setting it all up and all that fun stuff. That machine was one of the few that was, well actually I should say many, in the store that shipped with Microsoft's brand new, at the time, Windows 10 Home in S mode. Microsoft, you just don't fucking learn, do you? Anyway. So, my intentions with this computer were I was going to just take it home and take off S mode. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, well, what's the specs of the machine? Well, it was a Pentium Gold with 4 gigs of DDR4 and a 500 gig hard drive. I know, I sacrificed the Core i5 for a Pentium Gold. Slap me across the face, I don't fucking care. But whatever, it's in the past. Anyway, let me say the rest of my story. The reason I bought that computer was because I went back in when I was returning the Dell Inspiron, and I did a typing test on that Lenovo. And I actually really liked the keyboard. It was great. It was solid, it was tactile, I could get the speed pretty quickly on that thing. So, I didn't mind the Pentium Gold. It was going to do what I needed it to do. It had pretty equivalent performance to an Ivy Bridge i5. So, I was willing to take the sacrifice of saying, having the HEVC video support, or maybe some of the solid state drive speed, and half the RAM of that Inspiron for a better keyboard, and I don't have to deal with those stupid sound quirks, and ultimately the design is a lot sleeker. I didn't care about the touchscreen, the Lenovo didn't have it anyway, and it had a matte display rather than the glossy display of the Inspiron. That was another thing I liked about the Lenovo. But, this is another quirk. So, I tried to go turn off the S mode in Windows, so that way I could have full Windows 10 Home. That way I could actually install the Respondus lockdown browser that I actually needed to take my tests when I was in school. And, you know, it just, it amazes me that I put up with this crap. So, I go to turn S mode off in the store, and it takes me to a blank page. A blank page of all the things that I want to see when I'm trying to turn off S mode on my computer is not being able to see the toggle switch to turn S mode off. The irony. So, I go and I run Windows updates. I go and I run all the store updates, including all the apps in the store itself. Nothing fixed it. I even did a full restore of the operating system while I was in school. Let it sit, let it run, factory reset. Do all the updates. Do all the store updates. I go back in, the fucking toggle switch is still not working for turning S mode off in the store. And of course, because it's S mode, you have to use it through the store to get S mode to turn off. There's no other way to do it. You cannot do it through a command prompt because command prompt is not available in S mode. You just could not turn off that damned S mode without being able to use it through the store. So, unfortunately, you know, despite my better efforts of I could have totally reinstalled Windows and fixed this altogether, I took it back to the store. I was just like, to hell with it. I'm done with fucking PCs. I took that damn thing back to the store, got my money back, and I walked out. I went back to using the ThinkPad T400 because I was frustrated and I was upset. I couldn't find an optimal machine that I could use for school that didn't have some groundbreaking quirk that would, you know... So, I don't know. I was frustrated. You know, I had all my money for the most part. So, yeah, the following weekend, I put it all into the bank and I just started scouring eBay once again for MacBook Pros. In all the frustration that I had, I could not find anything. So I was at this point of giving up. I was just like, okay, deep breaths. I really do not want to do this one more time. I really do not want to put myself through this pain and suffering for my video editing priorities and qualities and all that sort of stuff. But I said, okay, I know what my budget is. At this point, I'm lowering my expectations and I'm going to eat it and see if I can find a reasonably priced Core 2 Duo or whatever have you. I was at that point. I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to buy a Core 2 Duo MacBook. I ate defeat. And I was just like, fine. If that's how the Mac market wants to play, I'm going to buy a Core 2 Duo. Because I need something. So, a couple of days went on and, you know, this thing was actually in there. I actually have the listing. I can pull it up here. It's off to the left of your screen right now. So I found this machine. Now, the price at the time was $20. So I was just like, okay, that's not too bad for a Core 2 Duo. You know, if it was a reasonably priced Core 2 Duo, I don't mind buying it. And I'm not 100% opposed to Core 2 Duos as far as Macs are concerned. I just didn't want one as my main daily driver MacBook. So, whatever. I watched it. I put it in my eBay watch list. And I kept looking at it throughout the next few days. And I kept shopping. And I kept looking because I wanted to see if I could find anything with a Core i5 at an absolute minimum. Even a first-gen i5, like the one that was used in this E4310 here. I didn't want any kind of a Core 2 Duo. I just didn't want a Core 2 Duo. But that's, like, impossible under $200. Or right at $200, actually. I meant to say that. I'm sorry. It's impossible. You just cannot find anything with a Core i5 in it unless you try to do an auction. And I did watch a couple of auctions on some 2012 MacBook Pros. But I had to be mindful of my sales tax because the problem is, in my county where I live, my sales tax is absurd and it's ridiculous. And so I have to keep within a certain budget to where I can afford the sales tax and still get a decent machine. And unfortunately, I couldn't. There was no way in hell that I could manage to do it. All the auctions that I'd watched, the computers would go for way the fuck over my budget. I could not make anything meet as far as an auction was concerned. So again, I was back to being frustrated. I couldn't find anything except for Core 2 Duos. The Core 2 Duos were everywhere and plentiful on eBay as long as you're willing to pay $200. So I don't know. I stepped back and I realized this is impossible. This Mac market is fucked again. Like, nothing changes with this Mac market. Surprisingly, one day I get this notification in my Outlook for the seller had gave you 25% off on an item you are currently watching. I opened it up and I looked at the email. It was this machine here that had been discounted 25% off. The total price was like $15. Of course, there was the shipping and sales tax on top of that, so the machine at the subtotal ended up being an absolutely ridiculous $40 after the base $15 price. But in my Discord, I was just kind of like, okay, I'm about at my wit's end. I'm buying this. I need something. I'm sick and tired of putting up with these pieces of shit Windows laptops because I cannot do my video editing on them. I tried with Movavi, like I said, but it didn't really work out. They didn't really look up to my standards. They just were not the greatest. I'm going to be flat out honest with you. Ultimately in the end, I didn't like it. So I was willing to pay the just below $40 to buy this MacBook Pro. So I do that. I buy it. I wait about a week. It comes in. As I'm recording this is the same day that I went and I picked it up and I got it and I unboxed it. And it didn't come with a power supply. It didn't come with a charger. So I was just like, okay, fair enough. Because the ad itself, it didn't show a charger. There was no description. It was very, very bland. I took a big risk with this one. There's no doubt in my mind. I took a really big risk with this one. But it ended up paying off, I think, in a way that it should be just fine. So I unbox it. It actually, like, amazingly, I'll even pick up the camera here and I'll even show you this. The machine itself is actually in pretty decent condition. Don't mind my squeaky chair. Most of these machines that you'll see, at least that used to be this way, would be covered in dents all along here, and like the corners would be dented in. There'd be like marks everywhere. You'd see a lot of marks on the palm rest, and keyboard would be wore out, or this machine could have been in a lot worse shape, given the bland pictures that I had saw. And the one thing too, I mean, the little markings around where the charger port is and the USB port and those sorts of things, these are kind of like wore off, but overall, it's not the worst I've seen. I mean, there's a little bit of the scraping on the bottom. I've seen a lot worse than this. So because I didn't want to wait for another week to get a charger, I paid $30 for an 85-watt charger at a local computer store, just so that way I could get this thing up and running. Yes, I paid a lot for a charger. Again, slap me across the face. I really did not want to drop $30 on a charger. I mean, I was already going to have to swallow $25 on the same charger and wait a week from eBay, but I just could not afford to do something like that. My time is precious these days, and so I had to eat the extra $5 just for the sake of convenience. So I did that. And thankfully, to my relief, when I brought this thing home, powered it on, and it worked, that was like my saving grace. I was just like, okay, this is it. This is my Mac that I'm using to edit videos now. And I mean, technically, the CPU is only slightly better than the MacBook CPU that I used, or the CPU in the MacBook that I used to own. But it's a far cry from the Latitude E5470 that I paid $80 for from the pawn store because it had been sitting for so long. So, yeah, I'm still not happy that I bought this computer. I'm really not. I flat out did not want another Core 2 Duo MacBook Pro. Or Mac laptop in general, let's be honest. I didn't want another Core 2 Duo. I didn't. I know what these things edit video like. It's not to say that this one probably won't do better or just the same as my white MacBook that I used to own. So, I mean, I'm going into this optimistic. I'm trying to make this machine do what I need it to do. But I have a gut feeling this is not going to work out. And I'm going to be more frustrated, just like I was with that white MacBook, where exports are going to take so long that it's just not worth it. I can tell you from experience, I just about gave up editing on that white MacBook at the time that I had it as my daily computer, because I had no other MacBook. You know, for example, I had well, we'll just make something up, like a 25-minute long 1080p video, 30 frames per second. You know, it wasn't ridiculously edited. It didn't have a lot of layers. You know, it was just the typical Jordan Woolery video. Something like that on my white MacBook would take over 6 hours to export. Over 6 hours. And that included having DDR3 memory. That included a solid-state drive. That included being on the unofficial macOS Mojave at the time. You can understand how frustrated I would be to try to edit video on a computer like that. If it takes so much more time than it's worth for the video itself, as my daily computer, why would I put myself through that? Oh wait, I can't, because the Mac market is so fucked as far as its pricing is concerned that I would have no other goddamn choice. So I dealt with it. I dealt with it. And of course, some people might remember the 2011 iMac that I used to own. I got rid of that because I knew, because of the whole macOS Mojave unofficial patcher thing, like what I'm running right now, that doesn't run on a mid-2011 iMac. So either way, I would have ended up selling it, even though it had only a bad hard drive. And yeah, I mean, I could have kept using High Sierra on it, but why? Why would I do that? I mean, yeah, technically the GPU wasn't dead. It hadn't failed, so that was amazing in and of itself, but whatever. So that machine's long gone. I didn't want anything to do with it after I learned that anyway, so here I am. This is my machine. This is what I'm going to use to edit this video. This very video that you're watching right now. It was edited, hopefully, on this computer right here. That includes the intro sequence. That includes the intro music that I made in GarageBand, and all the video that you have seen is all edited and rendered and done on this computer. It's going to be a long night. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be a very, very long night. And it's going to suck. It's going to be absolutely brutal. But you know what? I'm doing this for you guys. Because I just haven't been making videos. And my subscriber count is growing. I can tell people are really looking to want to watch more videos. There's just that anticipation in my gut that just like, I put it off for too long. As much as I hate my decision of buying this computer, I know for a fact that it's going to do what I need it to do, and, it's just going to bring in the content. It's going to bring in the eventual return of monetization to my channel. And so, I guess if V Westlife can edit video on a PowerBook G4 in an early 2008 MacBook Pro, then so can I. Then I guess I'll do it too. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's about all I can really say on the whole situation as far as this whole MacBook Pro thing is concerned. I mean, I'm still not going to deny the fact that I didn't want to buy this computer, and I probably shouldn't have. But I knew that if I didn't, it would be one of the probable worst gut feelings that I would have. So, yeah, it is what it is. So, I'm glad I got that out of my system. I needed to do that. I mean, I apologize for all of the mess-ups in my speech. I'm not exactly the most awake right now. I've been on the road for a lot today, and I spent a lot of money today, so I'm kind of done for the day. I just want to, sit down, edit this video, render the intro sequence, make the intro music, and then, call it a night. That's exactly what I think. Well, I'm going to have to wait till this finishes, but in the meantime, I'll make the thumbnail. Anyway, I digress. So for those who are still watching after that entire fiasco that I just discussed in front of you all, I really appreciate it. You are the people that will actually sit through a video of mine and will actually appreciate the time and effort that I put into making a video like this for you all to watch, even though right now I'm probably the most busy I've ever been in my entire life. Which includes what you are seeing right now. Yeah, A lot has been happening. This is really the biggest reason why I wanted to make this video, was because I needed to show this. We're moving. And we've already made a lot of progress as far as this move is concerned. All of our appliances are out of here. Washer, dryer, refrigerators, freezer, all that stuff is out of here. And I don't know how much longer we have specifically. I haven't really been told that, but I've been doing that for the past week at least. It has been packing and moving and taking stuff out to the new house. So, yeah. Oh, excuse me. So it's no understatement that I've just been busy. And that's not the only thing that I've been busy with. I've been busy with trying to prep a yard sale with my grandmother. I've been busy trying to keep up in school, busy with work, and so on and so forth. I've just had so much on my plate. Not to mention the fact that my grandma has been going back and forth between doctor appointments, and there's just been this stress about how that's going to go in preparation for that. It's just been a lot. And on top of that, of course, I didn't have anything to edit videos with because I'd sold my E5470. So it's just been a lot. And I don't know. I'm trying to make everything work the best that I can within my reasoning. And I don't know. I'm kind of crossing my fingers. I'm hoping that this works out. But knowing that this is an 11-year-old laptop that I probably paid way too much for already as it is, but it's way cheaper than all the other ones that were on eBay. I'm going to try to make it work. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know how I'm going to do everything as far as video editing style is concerned, but I'm going to give it one more go. But I'm going to make a promise in this video. I guarantee you, this is the last Core 2 Duo that I'm buying for use as my main computer. After this, I'm done. I'm actually going to put my foot down and I'm going to say I'm not buying any more Core 2 Duos for use as my main machine. I cannot do it anymore. Core 2 Duos these days are so old that they cannot do my full HD video editing that I need it to do. And so I'm just going to put my foot down. I'm going to say this is the last one. Once this machine gets replaced with something else, it is not going to be another Core 2 Duo. I cannot do another Core 2 Duo again. I'm done with Core 2 Duos. I'm done. And I mean, as my main machine, again, I got to specify, as my main machine. I don't care about other machines that I buy. If those are Core 2 Duos, great. But as far as my main machine is concerned, no more Core 2 Duos after this as my main machine. I'm done. I think that's about all I wanted to talk about in this video. I can't think of anything else that I really want to put into it. That was mainly what I wanted to talk about in this video, was that MacBook Pro, because ultimately that's how this video came to be. And I know, slap me in the face as hard as you want. I probably shouldn't have bought another early 2008 MacBook Pro non-unibody, because if you remember from a long time ago, long-time viewers of my channel will know this, when I unboxed my mid-2010 MacBook, you will know that in that video I showed off my then early 2008 MacBook Pro that I had been using up to that point. That machine had an SMC failure, whatever have you. I don't know what the hell happened to it, but I went to go and repaste the CPU and GPU on that machine, and it just died. It just ultimately stopped working properly. It wouldn't charge the battery I'd bought for it. The fans would always run at 100% unless I controlled them via software. It just acted so strange. It wouldn't work properly again. It acted like it was like a half computer. It was so broken. So I was like, I had no choice but to get rid of it and get the white MacBook because, yeah, it just wasn't working. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to avoid having another one of those situations like that again with this machine. I hope that it doesn't happen, because I'm going to be very upset if that does. And, yeah. So hopefully by the time that I replace this machine, I'll be monetized on YouTube. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. So, at this point, I think the video's gone on long enough. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and let you all go on with your days or nights or whatever time you were watching this. So, I appreciate you all coming to watch. I really do appreciate it. And we'll hopefully see you all in a future video. So, take care.